Hello, everyone. This is Frederick with StretchToWin.com, and I'm really excited because this is the season of Super Bowl 2019, and I'm here with one of my graduates from the Fascial Stretch Therapy programs, Lindsay Sudell. Hi, Lindsay.
Hi.
Welcome. I heard, is this a rumor that you're working with some players from the Los Angeles Rams?
I am.
Oh, it's not a rumor.
It's not a rumor.
Well, how did that happen?
Um, Definitely a word of mouth. I think a couple years ago, I had a couple NFL guys that were in town in LA during their off-season training.
Okay.
So the two main training camps here in LA, and somehow word got out to one of them, and he actually was a Patriot at the time, and now he is at the Dolphins. But so he came and saw me, and then word kind of traveled and got back to some of the Rams guys.
You know, how long have they been there? How long have the Rams been in LA now?
I wasn't really following them too much
Yeah.
until I started working with them.
It's like 2 years?
Years maybe.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's crazy. And now they're in the Super Bowl. That's like amazing. And
Yeah.
obviously your town must be going nuts.
Yeah. I mean, people are extremely excited. Again, they're a pretty new team to our city.
Yeah.
But it's definitely sparking a lot of fun and a lot of excitement for the
So,
team.
so even though they're new, people are kind of rallying, like it's our home team kind of thing?
Yeah, and I think this year, given the fact that not only are like the Rams and the Patriots in the Super Bowl, but also the fact that we had the Dodgers in the World Series playing Boston again, I think that's kind of a little fun thing for LA to experience.
That's so
So
exciting. Well,
yeah.
I'd like to talk to you, if you don't mind, a little bit about fascial stretch therapy and these players. I guess maybe a good thing would be it could be whatever you want to talk about, but it's more like when they first came in. I don't know if they had FST, fascial stretch therapy, before they saw you, or if this was their first time. But why don't you tell me a little bit about when they first came in, how they were, maybe how their bodies were. You don't have to divulge anything with injuries or anything, just sort of, they had some challenges, tightness, whatever you want to say. And how long did it take for them to feel a difference? First session, a couple sessions, what was going on?
Yeah, so I see a few different players. I see our top running back. I also see our top defensive tackle. He has the most sacks in the league right now. So
Awesome.
I see him, and then I also see our offensive line captain, and he's a big offensive tackle. So I see the three of them. So they play very different positions. So I work on different things with all of them. My
Sure.
running back, obviously, it's a lot of explosive type of things. So just making sure that his hamstrings are doing well, his quads, calves, all those kinds of things, and just making sure that he's in line. And then if there's any injuries that they might have or little aches and pains, really addressing those specifically. And then with my defensive tackle, always kind of dealing with, again, some like tight quads, shoulders, just from a lot of hitting.
Right.
Um, and then with my offensive lineman, it's really just trying to keep him as mobile as possible because he's a pretty, big guy. So
Right. So,
yeah.
how often do they come in? Do they vary, or do they, have you been actually, let me ask you first thing, have you been working with them like the whole season, or?
So I worked with them a whole lot during the off season
Good.
while we were training, and then we worked quite like weekly as the season was going on. And then lately, it's kind of been whenever our schedules mesh up. I'm pretty busy in the clinic, and I tend to go see them because they live kind of far from where my clinic is. So it's kind of if we can get them on a weekly basis, that's optimal. But I find that during season, it's a little more challenging because they're traveling and all that kind of stuff.
So how would you say, working with, that's really cool. You work with three very different positions. Why don't you
Mm-hmm.
compare a little bit what you do with a running back and what you notice with running backs that are needed and necessary to balance their bodies out?
Mm-hmm. Again, it's one of those things that it's a very explosive position.
Yeah.
So, making sure their posterior chain has adequate mobility so they can get optimal power production. Also, rotational movements,
Hmm.
and just making sure that they have the ability to get through the field is extremely important. So, really, with them, I'm really really holistic. Obviously, focusing a whole lot on hips and lower body, that kind of thing.
Hmm.
Not really addressing too much of like neck and shoulder unless they have something going on there.
Right.
But yeah, just really making sure that they're able to function without any real mobility restrictions, so they can really tap into their power.
Do you find anything imbalances between the anterior chain and posterior chain since they're powering through that posterior chain coming up into like triple extension? Then they kind of run flexed, right? They're kind of always getting ready to get hit, and they're
Right.
low. They're not upright like a sprinter necessarily. Like a wide receiver sometimes just is shooting straight out if no one's come. If if they're clear and no one's going to hit them, right? Versus a
Right.
running back is always a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, running backs are always down and tight. So, there is an element of making sure that you're not expanding that too much,
Yeah.
because obviously you want them to be able to cradle that ball and not lose it because they don't have that. But yeah, I mean, they definitely are much tighter in the anterior chain. Hip flexors are usually pretty tight, but I feel like that kind of comes with just anyone that runs like that too.
Yeah.
Like it's just part of a sprinter's body, I think.
What about defensive tackle? How are they? They hit a lot.
Yeah, so with my defensive tackle guy, I mean, it's one of those things that usually we work a lot on quads, obviously hamstrings and stuff like that, but it's definitely a lot of hitting. So usually, dealing with some like shoulder and neck, restrictions and just making sure that they're healthy there and they're not dealing with anything significant. With them, I definitely deal a lot more with like spine and just making sure that they don't have any like overfiring QLs or things like that too.
And then finally, the offensive guy. I mean, how big is he? He's pretty big,
He's
obviously.
he's 6'7", 240.
Really, he's not even three, as they say.
He is definitely the largest human being I think I've ever seen in my life. I have a picture with him actually on my Instagram, and I look like a toddler. Like I look like I'm 4 years old.
What are the challenges working with such a big body for you?
With him, I mean, it's one of those things that again, he's an offensive lineman, so he's just kind of pushing people around. Right?
Yeah, they don't really run, right? They pretty much just a few steps and that's
right.
it.
So like with him, I find that he's not as flexible as my other guys.
Right.
Because it doesn't really, his position doesn't really require
He's got to be a brick wall.
Yeah. So he's just really tight. So for him, I have to have like a special table, number one, because he's so large and he's so heavy that if I had a regular table and I happened to get on top of the table, it would break for sure. So I have a bigger table for him. It's lower to the ground. And yeah, for him, it's just trying to get his body as mobile as possible, but he's definitely a lot stiffer and his limbs are a lot heavier too.
Mm-hmm.
My other guys are definitely not little guys at all, but this guy is just he's a machine for sure.
That's awesome. Do these guys, any of them, do anything on their own in terms of stretching, or do they just do what the team gives them, or do they do anything you give them, or?
Yeah, they definitely, I mean, the team obviously has their own people. I don't work for the team. I work with them independently.
Right.
So the team has like their own things that they do. But then I just kind of go to them, to help them improve their mobility. Obviously I give them stretches to do on their own, but as far as how compliant they are, I mean, they're so busy, who knows? But it's definitely one of those things that if we keep them on a pretty regular regimen, they definitely notice a big difference as far as their performance and just like aches and pains and, how they're playing in the game. It's
awesome.
A pretty significant difference.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I want to thank you so much for spending time sharing with us, working with some of the top athletes in the world, obviously. Congratulations again on your home team going to the Super Bowl, and congratulations on you having a little part in helping them stay healthy and being ready for Sunday's game. If people want to see you, you have people in young athletes in high school and college, other pros, and even just non-athletes. Where can they reach you? They want to see you for fascial stretch therapy, whatever else you're doing over there in your practice. Yeah. What else do you do besides FST? Anything else?
Yeah, so I'm an occupational therapist by profession. So I combine fascial stretch therapy with other manual therapy techniques and Graston technique. And really I focus on like the hands-on manual therapy side of things and improving people's mobility. And then my husband, he's a physical therapist. And so he focuses more on like the strength and stability side of things. So we have businesses that kind of run side by side and we cross promote each other. And, because most people, when they have, injuries or plateaus in performance, there's definitely a mobility component typically. Sure. And there's also a strength and stability component. So, between the two of us, we get people where they need to be.
Yeah. You got a one-stop shop there, the dynamic duo there. So yeah. Where do people go? Where do you want people to go to find you guys?
Yeah, so I have a website. It's simplystretchla.com. On the website, you can see everything about what I do. You can see the schedules. You can book online. Like, it's kind of a one-stop shop. And then there's also the contact us button if anyone has any questions that they can't find on the website.
Perfect. And where are you exactly in LA?
In Venice, California.
Venice, California. You heard it, guys. So, Lindsay Sudell, thank you again so much. And I'm just going to say, go Rams.
Woo!
All right. So, thanks for watching, everyone. And we'll see what happens on Sunday. Take
Yeah.
care. Bye bye.